Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Unscripted with Bill Krackomberger, the Crack Man. And it goes a little something like this. Billy.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good.
I like how you appear.
Yeah. I just, I'm happy to be able to appear after all these years. You guys didn't throw me off.
No, never. Yeah. You know, our buddy Todd Wishnev's going to show up in the last segment. I don't know, we didn't tell you that. Physically?
Oh, all right, so he's here in town?
Yeah, he's here in town. He's doing the Megapod also afterwards,
nice.
So he's gonna come a little early on.
Cool.
That'll be half of the featured players of the old Showtime docuseries action at one table. Whoa, that's right, new record.
You know, it's funny. Someone now that you mentioned that, someone sent me something yesterday off of one of these Twitter's guys that don't know anything, just to get content out there. And they sent me a clip when I was at Monmouth Park. Warren Sharp and I were at Monmouth Park. We were betting, and we were showing the Don Best screen light up and showing what happens when releases come out. And they accused me of manipulating the line to bet the other side. Like, people are so stupid. They had nothing to do. No, really, they don't have jobs. Just walk around casinos and see what happens. Look at the crowd at Durango yesterday at 1 o'clock. I said, nobody works. It's unbelievable.
You and I came to the same conclusion that on Christmas Day here,
right?
And I'm talking, you've lived here for how long?
20 years. Oh, I text you.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. I was walking through Caesars at the time, too. I have lived here for 7 years, but I've been coming here, before that hundreds of times from California for the last 20 years. I lived at the Hard Rock, for goodness sake, for a couple summers. We both came to the same conclusion. We've never seen a more crowded day in the history of Vegas.
Yeah, I texted Gill. I said, Gill, are you out anywhere? I said, what's going on here? So I actually left my car at Fontainebleau because you could not get out. The security guards were like,
you had to abandon your car.
It's an hour and a half wait to get out. And I was waiting. I just parked in a spot and got out. And I asked one of the security guards, there's a flaw in their parking garage where cars have tough situation getting around one of the turns. So they had one down there, 10 go this way, now 10 go this way. It destroyed the parking garage that night.
Oh, my God.
Hour and a half. It was just that busy, though, and it was just that busy, all the casinos.
But it wasn't just there.
I abandoned my car. I like that better.
Yeah.
I abandoned my car, took a couple Ubers. Right next door to the Wynn.
Yeah.
I could have walked it, really. But took a couple Ubers back and forth. I spent about 4 hours in the Wynn, and I text you from the Wynn because the Wynn was so packed. I'm like, wow.
Caesars was like a New York City street. You know how you like a sea of people one way and a sea of people the other? It was unbelievable.
Right.
That's wild.
And Gill's response to me was it kind of started last year. He's right. Last year was
the first time it happened.
It's always a busy week between Christmas and New Year's, by the way, in town. Jam-packed. I went out a couple other nights, too. Wow. But Christmas night, what happens is everyone opens up their gifts, the kids are all together, and the adults go out because they don't have to work. And not only that, they have visitors in town that are just here, so they want to see the new casino, which is Fontainebleau. I just didn't know the other ones would be that busy. Like Caesars, he's saying, there's like a New York street both ways. Boy, I'll tell you what, no collection buckets for the casinos or the sports books after they destroyed people and ruined lives on Christmas Day. Was it Christmas Day? Was that when the three upsets, the three dogs covered?
Yeah.
They ruined everyone's life. So there's no collection buckets from me on them.
Fontainebleau, which I've mentioned before, is in that quote-unquote cursed part of the Strip that never seems to have success.
Right now it is.
Yeah, right at this moment it is. Do you feel
What's
like
gonna happen
do you feel like it will, long term?
By the way, the video poker selection is terrible. Nothing special in there. No progressive jackpots. I mean, everyone. The Wynn's got progressive. The Venetian's got progressive jackpots. You have to have progressives. Where the jackpot starts at 4,000 coins and then goes up by how many people play. So they could change though. But right now they don't have to right now. It just looked like a big, roundish kind of, maybe ovalish kind of factory in there. I don't know. That's what I felt.
I walked in and I felt to my side. I didn't even make the connection between Fontainebleau and Miami, which I should have in my head because I've been there before many times. But immediately when I walked in, I felt like, it's like a 1970s Miami feel of an airport.
Yeah,
that was my initial reaction.
Very friendly people that were. They
Absolutely.
were really told to be friendly, because I was there twice now, and greeted at the door, greeted on the way out, in the parking garage. Even they were greeted. I mean, I couldn't get in valet the night I went, but the daytime I went, I would park the valet. They were just such really. They're at the beginning. Everything's friendly. Everyone's on their toes. They're management's around. We'll see what happens when I buy in mid-February to crap table for $100 with 4 guys that are standing around saying, "Oh, under the breath." No, but I'm being serious. So they were very nice. And very friendly.
What is the timetable, Kelley? Maybe you know, on the Mirage becoming a full-fledged Hard Rock with that? Because if you look at the renderings of the Strip in years to come, the most iconic thing that will exist on the Strip is a giant Hard Rock guitar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right, that's going to be cool.
Think about how you think of the Strip right now, but that, if you are to believe, that is where it's going to end up. And I don't know what the timetable is, but I would imagine it's a number of years.
Right now, I haven't been in there yet.
What's that?
When is it?
2027.
2027.
I won't even be alive. But
don't say that.
Let me ask you. Yeah. They're taking over. They have the. If you walk in, you get a Hard Rock card there now.
I haven't been inside of it.
Oh, I haven't been in either.
I have not gone in there.
Hey, well, I'm going to give. Hey, I'll tell you what, boy. Randy, I'm sorry. I hope you don't get mad. I'm going to tell this advantage play out live on this segment. This is a really good thing for anybody, though.
Yeah.
Anyone that has an offer, do you have an offer anywhere where you play somewhere where you get like $15 a week, $500 a week? I mean, I get some that I get $1,000 a week. So I took my $1,000 a week offer over to the Rio, and the Rio is matching offers.
Oh.
So you go to the Rio, and they'll give you whatever your offer is. You email them the offer while you're there. They'll match that offer. It's a good thing. Like the Palms does it. Who owns the Palms? A casino in California. Whatever the casino is, it's an Indian-based casino. They have that deal too, up to $1,000. But for a casino in this town to do that, I don't know why there's not billboards and stuff. But whatever offer you get, you bring it in there, they'll match the offer.
Because the building is too dilapidated to hang something on at this point.
The Rio.
Yeah.
No, you do take your lives in your own hands outside of the place, but it doesn't matter.
I'm just talking about the exterior.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm talking about the exterior.
Yeah.
No, it's actually okay. I'm joking.
Palms is nice though. To have, I love having that property there because it's it's if you need a movie theater, it's solid. You'll fall asleep in those seats. They're so comfortable watching it. But like the very very convenient food court there. The restaurants are sneaky good.
We talked about it last week. Restaurants in this town, and like you're saying, the Palms. I didn't know they even had any good restaurants.
Oh, that Scotch 82. That's my favorite steak place in town.
It was very good. Yeah. I went there. It was very good.
Scotch 80?
Scotch 80.
And a sneaky great concert venue.
Yes.
Where I've seen...
Is the Pearls, that's still there?
The Pearl.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've seen a number of acts there. Tony being the last one. Just a great little spot.
What a great venue. I've seen Duran. It was very good. I've seen some good shows in there. You're absolutely right.
You saw a little Duran in there, did you?
What was it?
Duran, you saw them?
Yeah, when they first opened, or 10 years ago.
That's how they pronounce it in their accent. Duran. All right. Scripted, or unscripted, I should say. Unscripted with Bill Krackomberger on the other side. Right. We'll talk about some predatory pricing on something, because you tweeted out something, so I want to seize on this. Talking about you, Ohio. We'll get to that on the other side. We are live from the Barrage here at the D, downtown Las Vegas. Unscripted with the Crackman, Bill Krackomberger. We do get tweets, though, at Beating the Book. Let me read a couple of these before we get back to Crack here. Let's see. Judd O'Connor has a question for you, Kelley. Any quick NBA injury news we can try to get ahead of? I figure Luka's out on the second leg of a back-to-back with that quad. But that's already baked into the line at -10. Anything else going on?
Yeah, that one's already in there. Yeah, I mean, this stuff you got to catch. You got to catch pretty quick. That one's pretty baked in the line. But Karl-Anthony Towns is questionable for that game as well. So you got to watch that stuff late into the morning on the West Coast. If you're living out here, early afternoon on the East Coast, you'll see a lot of that stuff come down in between about 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time.
Nevada Azer. Mirage does have the new Unity Hard Rock Players card. FYI. There you go, Billy.
Okay, cool.
DP,
Thanks.
the Palms. How do you pronounce this? NNES? Is that the name of the restaurant? NNES? Or maybe
I don't know.
Typo. He was fantastic. He's talking about the restaurant. Auburnist started Advantage playing this year. Love the little tidbits that Bill gives. Thanks. And then Max Cash asking about tipping, which we've talked about many times. He asked Crack, can you ask Crack his thoughts on tipping at the counter? I got to the casino every day to place bets. I go to the casino every day to place bets. He said, I'm a high-volume prop bettor. Oh, this is Max Cash. He's always talking to himself. He goes, I'm a high-volume prop bettor, so I can be at the counter for a while placing bets and waiting for approvals. What's the proper etiquette when it comes to tipping?
It's actually, the way he worded it is fantastic because you're taking all the time there. They like I know I go to Caesar's Palace a lot because they keep their own tips there, which I like. It's really, you're tying up a window for a while. You should make them, throw them a $5 bet on a couple props, and this way they root with you. You obviously have an advantage if you're betting props at the window for that long. Of course, it's on volume, I know, but yeah, make them root with you on a ticket or two. That's probably the proper thing. It's someone like myself that bets on that app there. That particular app, I go in there and take out, pretty good payments there. Literally like $10,000, and you have to tip. I feel bad not taking. You know what I mean? You got to throw the guy at least a 20, at least. You're keeping their own tips. But it's a sensitive situation if I don't like the teller. So I just go up because you have to stand on line. Even though I have a 7-star, you stand in the 7-star line next. Wherever you go, you go. There's one guy in there. But then again, I tell you what, that's the property, that's the model property to train your employees, I feel. I really get along with everyone there at Caesars. There was one teller I didn't care for. I'll tell you why. I was at Palace Station one day, right next to the sports book, and he parked his car so close to me, never mind me getting in, a 100-pound person couldn't get in.
Those spots are pretty tight.
I went nuts on him. Yeah. I said, this is you that did this? I said, are you this stupid? He's like, I had to go make a bet. Jesus. I mean, but anyway, why do I hold on to these things? Years later.
I understand. You said you're 7 stars. 7 stars, folks. We've had Steve Fezzik on talking about 7 stars. You've talked about it as well at Caesars. You have your own 7 stars line at things.
Yes.
Let me ask you, just like at a Starbucks. So there's like 20 people waiting.
You go right to the front.
And you go right to the front.
Yeah.
Do you ever have like a little guilt about that? Do you ever have a little anxiety about that?
I try to have the card out so everyone else can see it. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't really have guilt, but I just want to make sure they know that someone doesn't start screaming.
It's a very uncomfortable
They didn't get their coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
But it's a perk of playing to a level. And by the way, I might not get the 7-star next year. They've cut down so many things.
It's about to expire here at the top of the year, right? Or end of January.
I had that for next year.
Yeah.
But the following year, gaining I got that because of college basketball last season. They were giving you a pretty good amount. Now they've cut it down by literally a third.
Oh, I know.
So you don't get the points you used to get. So, but over here, it's not the big deal getting the 7-star like it is in other destinations. New Jersey, I have a buddy of mine that was just playing video poker. He blew $1,500 the other day. He's like, I'm trying to get the 7-star. I was like, is it worth $1,500? Yeah, it is. It is. I'm not thinking, but throughout the year, it was worth that much. And I understand why. The lounge is there. He lives in Atlantic City, so therefore he goes to one of the lounges every day.
Yeah.
So he's going to the lounge every day, and like I said, you go to Harris, you're ordering off a menu. I mean, it's steak.
Well, Todd just flew here for free.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, there he is. He just flew here for free. He's up in a hotel for 4 nights. I mean, it has its perks.
Yeah. No, it has its perks.
Yeah.
That trip is worth something.
Yeah.
I didn't use it. I'm probably going to get, again, this is like the 4th year in a row I didn't use the 7-star trip. They give you $500. You can use it at restaurants. But the 7-star trip's better. It's airfare. It's hotel. It's
like I said, we're going to look back at it. We're going to be like, remember when they gave you trips to Atlantis in the Bahamas?
Yes.
We're going to look back at it fondly.
I get a cruise. Well, I never use it. I never used a cruise.
All right, but that's good. I want to talk about this. You tweet. By the way, your tweets get so much traction.
They've been doing good. Certain ones do really well.
Yeah, and you post a lot of clips from our time here together.
I do.
Which do very well.
I do.
This is you directly talking to the Ohio Lottery.
Yes.
You want to go ahead and read your tweet yourself? Go ahead.
First of all, I got this information. A guy named Rick George, who's on Twitter, sent this to me. It's like, do you believe what they're doing here in Ohio? So I wrote out, hey, Ohio Lottery, congratulations on having one of the worst odds on sports betting in the world. You ever think you charge the same, it's supposed to say VIG/juice, that your sports books in the state do? You would actually make more money instead of the robbery you're trying to commit. I mean, I'll look at the first one.
Can I answer for the Ohio Lottery? They're like, no, we never thought about that.
They never thought about it. People aren't playing there.
Yeah.
You're not going to play.
Yeah, we never thought about it.
The first game, Orlando Magic minus 1.5. The juice is minus 130. On the other side, it's plus 1.5. It's minus. That's right. It's minus 120. So they're charging 25 cents on each side.
50 cents.
Yeah. And they're charging more on the money line. Minus 152, minus 105. Minus 222 on the next game. Come back a whopping 135.
My God.
Same thing on the totals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just really just killing people. And
as
someone caught it because it's up to 220,000 views. So I had a lot of retweets and stuff. Yeah.
As we've talked about many times before, when situations like this come up, the reason that very little is done about changing stuff like this is because there are always new gamblers being born, quote unquote. They don't know any better. And there isn't some, we'd love to think that we have such a wide net that they hear us every day talking about this kind of stuff. But the truth is, most in the wash don't. And most are like, oh, well, this is just how it is. They don't know any better.
Yeah.
So it's predatory in that way.
But that particular state has sports betting now.
Right.
They've had sports betting for over a year, Come on. There's the DraftKings are there. The FanDuels are there. These sports books there that are charging $110. But by the way, let me tell you something. People don't remember. In the beginning, when sports betting first came to this country, I believe the first sports book that opened up, someone will correct me on Twitter if I'm wrong, I believe it was FanDuel at the Meadowlands. I think that was the first sports book that opened up. Automatically, what do you think they did? They weren't charging $110 each way. They charged $115 each way. That's right. In the beginning.
Yeah.
Literally, I myself and many people just buried them and said, "What are you doing? How you? It's $110 everywhere. You got Joey and Louie down the corner at the bookmakers at the bar down there booking games, and you guys are charging $115 each way." They immediately corrected it after about 4 months. It took about 4 or 5 weeks, and they corrected it. But so. This might be new. I'm not sure of Ohio. I don't know how long they've been doing this.
D.C. was bad too.
I heard D.C. was bad.
Yeah.
I heard. I heard some
Oregon, right? They threw the lottery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the lottery commissions, they don't have anyone consulting them. They'd actually make more money if they just went to a simple $115 each way instead of $125. By the way, I wouldn't play it, but
I don't think they care enough.
They don't care enough.
I don't think they do either because doesn't all with the state lotteries,
make it 50%.
Every cent's going right back to the state, right? So it's as long as they get a single bet.
That's right. They're like, anything we get sports here,
anything.
Gravy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not justifying it, nor is Kelley. We're just saying, this is life. I guess
for bettors, you should don't bet into this at all.
Don't do
bet at all the other shops that Bill just named.
Yeah.
But
I guess I keep going back to whenever stuff like this comes up. I always in my head go back to May 14th, 2018, the day that PASPA was ruled unconstitutional, and the day that betting became legalized. And I think back to that morning, and again, the great Jorge Mondaca, producer number 3. The Supreme Court would have these boxes every so often, and at 7 a.m. Pacific, right when a numbers game started, he'd have to check on those days to see if the Supreme Court was ruling on betting. And for a few of them, because we knew it was coming at some point, for a few of them, he would turn back and be like, oh, no, it didn't happen. There's, it's no ruling on betting. And then May 14th, he looks back at me with a look of horror because we had to plan 2 shows every one of those mornings. Yeah. And he's like, oh, my God, it's happening. And so we would do a whole thing on it. And that morning, we had to tackle the whole thing. And I just, if I was interviewing you May 14th, 2018, you weren't on the show that morning, but if I was, could you have, now it seems so obvious that this would happen with pricing in so many different ways, lotteries and books and all kinds of permutations of this. But would you have predicted it that day, that it would have gone that way, honestly?
I mean, I would probably say no.
Yeah, it seems so obvious now, but that day, I don't think that would have been the first thing on our minds. Yeah, maybe that would have been naive of us.
You're right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating to see, right? Because you have all the private businesses, right? Like the DraftKings and FanDuels and everything like that are putting up their odds. And you see what the lotteries do. And then we talk about so much the exchanges, right? Then you're talking about the peer-to-peer and what you're seeing with prices on those. Compare that to what you're seeing with some of these lotteries. It's wild. It's just clearly there's money to be made, right? Yeah. And people are trying to go about it different ways.
Yeah, and I think for them it's like if they can get away with it, they will. Depends on, and you're right, Kelley. Like, they get 1 or 2 bets, they're thrilled with it.
Yeah, any bet they take. Let's sell.
Unscripted with the Crackman, Bill Krackomberger. You can follow him on Twitter at Bill Crackman with a K. Also, Wisecracks, the name of the podcast, which he does with John Orlando, wherever podcasts are available. More on the other side. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Gill Alexander, it's Kelley Bydlon, it's Bill Krackomberger. Thursday here on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I will be doing the Megapod with Kelley today as our special rotating guest. And, of course, Todd Wishnev here at the desk, along with Will Hill remotely. The Beating the Book Megapod each and every Thursday. Go through the whole NFL slate, our 3 best bets, which game we want no part of, which is the big favorite most likely to lose outright, favorite teaser of the week. We do that every week on the Beating the Book podcast. Deep dive into the NFL Week 17 slate. Bill is here, and Todd and I were betting college football last night in-game, college bowl games, and I get a text from Fezzik about something that was going on in the NBA, which I'm learning you were familiar with as well.
Yes.
It had to do with Mikal Bridges. Would you like to explain?
I had a text that very sharp guy who's a friend of mine, and we do a lot of things together. He said, hey, I'm going to read you what his text was. This is the text after we made the bet. There's nothing confirmed, but there's a speculation that Mikal Bridges from Brooklyn is sitting a lot. That Brooklyn is sitting a lot of their starters, but he's playing because he has a 400-game consecutive game streak. But there's very good speculation that he may play just a little to keep his streak alive. So he gave me a 4 same-game parlay, 4 different bets, under 1.5 3-point field goals, under rebounds, under assists, under points, which he easily won. The information was more than speculative.
Because it was in fact the correct information.
But I tried to bet it because my average bet I'll just say who it was. It was Caesars. So my average bet at Caesars is at least $2,000. So I said I tried to bet $2,000 on it. They turned me down. All right, so I'll bet $1,000 on it because it's paying 6.5 to 1. Mm-hmm. And I bet things before to win $50,000 there, and they won. I had a winner that I got 50 to 1 on for a dime. So they also turned that down, and they came back with a re-offer of $200. I took it. I said, okay, $200. I wasn't thinking much about it. I wasn't taking a shot at Caesars. I didn't think the information was like, oh my God, this is gonna, I didn't think it was like it was. It probably was though. Thinking about it now that I'm here, and you had it, I know, and I knew they turned me down for $200. I knew they got hit on it before. Now I'm finding out someone on Twitter actually was talking about. I single-handedly removed Mikal at DraftKings, like everywhere. He's talking about I single-handedly. So it was on Twitter. I didn't know. I don't read it from there. I just got it from a buddy. But
so by the time you got around to betting, they were hip to it.
They were hip.
Well, even if they weren't hip to it, they were like, something's going on.
So my question is this: first of all, for $200, I would have never bet that. That now that I knew it was out there, and they're probably pissed off that this crack's got to bet this too. You know what I mean? Because they're very good to me, Caesars.
In the wash, it's not worth it for you.
It's not worth the $1,300.
Right?
No, absolutely not. Because they're very, very good to me on a lot of things. Yes, they've cut down some bets recently. I understand, but I have a guy there that I'm friendly with, and he's always telling me, hey, yeah, Bill, this is not going to happen. Or this, he's always telling me the limits and what's going to happen in certain situations. But I don't want to aggravate anyone there. I don't want to bother. They're already. A lot of people that are in risk, they don't like people that win. They shouldn't take it personal. It's not just Caesars. It's everywhere. It's in the industry. Now, some people do like it. If you're betting certain places in town, I'm not going to mention which. Please don't ask me. I know for a fact they love when a Bill Krackomberger or Steve Fezzik bets because now they can get down. Now the traders are bettors themselves, which they should be. Mm-hmm. You think I would work at a sportsbook? I would be betting off of sharp information. And plus, of course, the bosses know this happens, but some places they don't bet, and they just get mad because they're sitting behind a desk 50 hours a week in a trading room, and you're beating them to their line. Now, my question is this: you could have had that information if you hired someone to scan different injuries and information. So maybe I shouldn't be upset at anything, and that's just the way it is. I get it first before you, but. Like, same situation here. I'm going back. Same situation. Downs and Pierce are good overs. The Colts' top wideout just got ruled out. So I go and bet Downs and Pierce over. All 4 of them won, 4-0. I thought about that after. I said, I hope they don't get mad at me. Imagine you have to think like that.
You have to think like
I hope
that.
the sportsbook doesn't get mad at me because I got information before you did. But this is what places like Stations has conditioned people out here to do, because that's how I got thrown out of Stations. I bet $5,000 on the game. The quarterback was announced out a couple minutes later. They came out and ran after me and said, "We demand that ticket back, or you're not allowed to play with us ever again on any of our properties." So when that happens, you're conditioned to say, "Oh my God, you have to be careful what you bet." This is why no one's going to like this, and I may get a little heat for this from books. That's why you probably got a beard in. You probably can't play under your own name because you guys make us do that. That's why.
Make you do the bearding. And that's exactly right.
A place like Stations right now, but by the way, they are going through massive problems here with this new app. I don't know, Kelley, did you hear anything else? But
I haven't really heard any more updates from it. I mean, I've talked to a couple people.
Terrible. They're not, and nobody cares. You can't get to anybody. This is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that they're not purging the old information. Is that the right word? Purging the old information to the new one?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There's nothing pending.
Merging.
Merging. Okay.
Yeah.
Merge.
Purging the old accounts.
Yeah, they're not putting them into the new one, so there's nothing pending on it. And people are upset. They're going to the casino, and they take it out on the poor staff.
Right.
They can't help them. You go to Palace Station, the great guys work there. They can't help that over there. So something happened there that they're not talking about. Why they would do that right in the middle of, Week 16. There's more to the story there. Why that app, something had to happen. But there's no answers for Stations people. They're just it's a mess. It's a mess. So.
Yeah, that was weird.
But anyway,
we speculated about that last week. We did. Right? Remember about why that would be.
Yeah, but that is the situation there. Where do you take a shot on? Oh, imagine I'm saying a shot. I'm making a bet. But do you take a shot on a sports book? Is that considered a shot at them? It's not like I'm betting the wrong line. It's not like I'm betting plus 7.5 when it should be minus 7.5.
You're betting on information.
That's a shot. I'm betting on information. If my information is better than yours, you shouldn't take it personal. You shouldn't cut down my future bets. And you say, hey, good for you, Crack. So, you got it ahead of us.
So let's talk about this, because there's different ways of this, right? So, yes, we've talked about this many times where it's like, if you're betting on information just because you have it before them, should you in any way have to feel guilt about it? And the answer, I think we all agree, is no. But you're right. You have to toggle your brain to, all right, what do I do here to not anger them, right? Which is a ridiculous thing to have to think about. That is different from it's different from some of the other things we've brought up with books before, which is, remember the Luis Arias thing. Now, he didn't become the MVP. He never hit 400. But remember, I go up there and I'm making a Luis Arias bet before that's not an information bet. That's just a coming up with a handicap of, well, if he does this, then he does this. There's no information. There's no anyone else getting injured, for instance. It's a totally different type of bet. And then they're like, let's see why he'd be betting that. Oh, I see why he's betting it. That guy could hit 400. Let's limit him, and then let's immediately change it. Like, that's the part that is egregious beyond belief, right? Or they spin it on you before they even take the bet, and they change the number on you, which they shouldn't be allowed to do at all.
That's terrible.
And they aren't allowed to do. But they've done that before.
They do it because there's no one's policing. You think gaming's going to step in and they're going to say someone else hit us?
That's different because you're doing their job for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What you're talking about is just a simple, well, why is that? I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You've done nothing wrong. You're just doing your job as a better than they're doing their job as an information gatherer too, right?
And it's 80% of. Think about the difference of this is 75% of the NBA pregame betting I do is getting in front of injury information and line moves in front of it. So bets that I would make and am making all the time, Bill can't make just because he bets at a different level than I do. I mean, that's essentially what it's coming down to.
Right. But or it's become so normal in the NBA that it's not considered a shot.
Or that.
Yeah.
I will say, just with this Nets story, like, look out for it going forward with the Nets and just NBA teams in general. There is a bit of a reason why this was done, because it wasn't just Mikal Bridges. You had Cam Thomas that only played the first quarter too, and Royce O'Neal, along with them sitting a bunch of players before the game. I got on the Bucks after they sat some of the guys pregame, I wish I would have bet them more. I didn't know this was going to be Jock Vaughn's strategy going into the game, but they had played a long West Coast trip. This was a back-to-back situation, so they rested some guys pregame. The part that caught everybody off guard was, of course, those guys playing that first quarter, and then they got sat for the rest of the game. But this goes back to part of some of the NBA rule changes as well. If you want to make an All-NBA team or be qualified for MVP or anything like that, you have to play in a certain number of games. So if you play one quarter of a game, that qualifies you for it.
It's the second most interesting bit of Mikal Bridges' news of the week, the other being that he revealed that he's eaten Chipotle every day for the last 10 years.
Wow. That got him where he is.
And who could argue with that strategy? Because Chipotle is great. We'll come back. Todd Wright has a prop for us next. For Gill Alexander, Todd Wright, the host of All Night with Todd Wright, famously at ESPN Radio back in the day. I used to do the Slow Jam show and listen to him late into the night. So great. He was sort of Bill Simmons' pop culture reference before Bill Simmons was around.
Nothing like Love Zone right into All Night.
I'd go flying down Franklin Street in San Francisco. I'd stay in my parking garage for like an hour listening to Todd Wright. He said, Gill, take a look at Mike Evans' props for Sunday in the Bucs-Saints game. Evans needs 14 points to become the Bucs' career leader in scoring. This is potentially his last regular season home game, no contract beyond this season, and the Bucs are well aware and prepared for it. I would bet Evans over on catches or yards, any touchdown, over on total touchdowns, etc. And Evans hates the Saints, so he'll be fired up. How about that from Todd Wright?
I like it. Definitely the time that you can start thinking of incentives, props based off of some contract incentives and things like that. Weren't we getting asked about that like 3 weeks ago or something like that? We were like, it's a little too early for that.
Oh, yeah. A little too early. But that's great actionable information, because that it could be his last Bucs game. Needs 14 points to become their career leader in scoring. Wow.
We talked about it like last week. One of the most underrated wide receivers just of all time. Like just Evans, go and look at what his numbers are and what he's done there.
Always productive.
Can I read a tweet from Steven Vegas?
Please.
I talk to people all day in trading, from trader up to VP, head of trading for work. Bosses tell me they aren't fans of teams anymore. Well, I'm not really on a team, but that yesterday bet was a team bet I didn't realize I was part of. But they're not, so they're very competitive. They want to beat the better. Beating them is their action. Ego is a big piece here. I don't agree with anyone in trading that talks like that, because I'll tell you what, guys, I tip your staff of your casino, even though you're in the trading desk. I tip your staff. I take care of them, and guess what else? I take care of the supervisors. I ask, did the supervisors, you guys get to keep your own tips? If they do, they get a folded bill all the time. So I take care of people too. It's not just I'm trying to be a nit, get in there and beat you up and take your money and not take care of anybody.
You agree with what he's saying, though? That is actually a thing?
Oh, of course it's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be.
Not the writers.
And
but
not always.
Yeah.
No, the writers want you to win.
Yeah.
No, this is the people that are behind the trading desk. And it's not every trading desk. So now since I'm fired up, I'll get into my Tony Spilotro story.
Please.
So my buddy used to own a casino here in town called the Jolly Trolley. It was on the corner of Sahara and the Strip, where the world's largest gift shop is now in the 70s. I know most people listening won't know or watching won't know what that is. So he's going to be 83, and he's also owned many fine restaurants around the country, including Mastro's in Beverly Hills, the libraries in New Jersey, the Mastro's. He owned a lot of restaurants. So I met him. He was up at the top of Turnberry. He lived in a penthouse. That's how I met him one day. So we started talking. So got to be
Spilotro?
This is my other friend Paul.
Okay.
So, but however, where his casino was, Tony Spilotro had the I guess it's called the Gold Rush. At least on the movie Casino, it was portrayed as the Gold Rush. That may have been the name. Over by the Golden Steer there. So all the time, him and Herbie Blitzstein would walk. By the way,
Herbie Blitzstein.
You may not want to laugh when Herbie was alive, laughing at his name, because Herbie was his right-hand man, Stone Cold Killer. He killed many, many people for Spilotro. It's out there. Just Google his name, you'll see it. So, and
you ever hear the Chrissy Andrews Hitman story? One of his great story times ever.
I did.
Oh, such a great. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So, they used to Herbie and Herbie Blitzstein and Tony Spilotro used to go over to lunch. They had a great hamburger joint at the Jolly Trolley. And Paul tells one of the stories where he comes in, and Paul was sitting down with them to dinner. and it was a Monday morning, and all of a sudden, Tony is arguing with somebody, not getting paid $50,000. He says, "What do you mean I didn't bet $50,000? I bet $50,000 on the Eagles with you." He says, "No, you bet Dallas." He says, "Get this guy, Paul. Get this guy on the phone. The other guy on the phone." So they get the other bookmaker on the phone, and he says, "What did I bet with you?" And he says, "Well, you bet Dallas for $50,000 with me." He says, "I bet $50,000 on Dallas with him. Give him my money." Of course, he took a shot. He bet $50,000 on Dallas on one side, $50,000 on Philly with the other bookmaker, and whoever lost, he was going to go after him and said, "Ask this bookmaker what I bet." But Paul telling the story is fantastic. It's just the way he said it, and the guy's like, "All right, Tony, I must have misheard you." So it's only $105,000.
What's he going to do? Not pay Spilatro?
$105,000 mistake, and he pays him the $50,000. And now. So Paul now at this time, I have about 20 of his stories on my phone. I recorded them because he has such great stories in general, that being one of them. Another being Desert Inn Golf Course. They were playing in a Calcutta, a big giant Calcutta. Some of the biggest names, not only in town, some of the biggest names. The guy was the head of the union in the Irishman. I can't think of his name. It wasn't Hoffa, but whoever took over the union after him. He was on Paul's team. And here comes Tony Spilatro in a golf cart with Herbie Blitzstein out of nowhere. They don't even play golf. And what's the best score at the hair? We're 18 under. Well, we're 19 under.
Oh, God.
And they got the $75,000 prize. What are you going to say? No, okay, yeah, Tony. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Tony.
Now, when Herbie Blitzstein came around.
Herbie Blitzstein.
I mean, that first story was that's straight out of Casino.
Unbelievable.
They're the Pesci scenes.
Almost like the scene where he's saying, "What do you mean? I'm laying it? I was taking it."
Exactly. The same scene.
Yeah, it's the same kind of a thing there. Yeah.
I just pulled up pictures too of the Jolly Trolley.
Jolly Trolley.
You got it right next to Honest John's Casino in the strip mall. Yeah. This is awesome.
No, that was open for years. They had a 99-cent cheeseburger that I was with Paul one day.
Let's see the ad for it.
Really?
Yeah.
And an old timer came up to him and said, "You own the Jolly Trolley. You had the best cheeseburgers ever." So yeah, so it's great stories. I love being around between him and Jerry Eisenberg from the New York Star Ledger. He lives in town now. He's 93. Jerry's got some unbelievable stories from the old days of boxing and mob guys coming in.
He's a boxing guy.
Oh, and he read the eulogy at Muhammad Ali's funeral. So I like hanging around those type of guys, and I'm just an old soul anyway. So
Spilatro passed away. The Ant, Tony Spilatro, Anthony John Spilatro, who was the American Mobster, high-ranking member of the Chicago outfit in Vegas in the 70s and 80s. He died in 86. And Herbie Blitzstein passed away in 1997.
He was murdered. They were both murdered. Blitzstein and Spilatro. Obviously, you guys watch Casino, the end of Casino, what happened to them in Indiana cornfield, the two of those guys. But actually, they weren't murdered at the cornfield. They had to change things for movies. They were murdered in the basement. They were carried to the cornfield dead and buried, just in case you want to know.
Blitzstein was found dead in his Las Vegas home from a small caliber gunshot to the base of his skull, and some suspected that his death was an organized crime hit.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to look behind me here.
It sounds like it might be. It sounds like it could be.
Suspected. Yeah.
Sounds pretty textbook.
We could talk about anything here on a numbers game.
Yeah.
But that's gambling related, and it's part of the town's culture.
Yeah.
It is what it is. That's what the town was made of. And when we all love the movie Casino. And we all love Goodfellas. We love that kind of. For some reason, sports bettors, right? We all love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We do. I do a podcast with John Orlando, Wisecracks, and the producer never seen Casino. Oh, no, he never seen Rounders or Goodfellas.
You send him home immediately?
I almost said.
Isaiah Wrinkle, you listening?
I almost said it's over. You never seen Rounders? You never seen Goodfellas?
Yep.
Oh, you got to go.
I have someone here proclaim himself as a poker player that never seen Rounders. I'm like, how you never seen Rounders?
That's sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah,
it's very sad,
Isaiah.
Very sad.
I think I'm missing an opportunity on this SMU Boston College game. It's 3-0 BC.
Looks gorgeous in Boston.
1:52 left in the first quarter, and it is pouring in Boston.
In 45-degree weather or something.
Fenway Park.
I hate to give this little. Gill's onto something here, because that's the it's an algorithm. So it doesn't have the human element a lot. Now, some do. Some will adjust
some
it.
do. Yep.
But some absolutely do not. If I had a chance to do something over again in life, if I had more time to do it, it would be live wagering. It would be live wagering against the slower moving apps. That would be something I would do. The
algo apps.
The slower moving apps, without a doubt, compared to the sharper sportsbook apps, the sharper ones, and just what you're doing is you don't have to know anything. You don't have to know a name of a player. You don't have to know the color of the uniform. All you have to do is know, all you have to is put side by side different computers up and just start firing.
So that's interesting because the way I was describing bowl season is you do it you would do it that mechanical way. With bowl season, I would argue, you don't even have to know any of the players. Just watch a few drives of the game, and you get, because there's so many guys in the portal, you don't know who's playing second string, third string, whatever. You figure out very quickly. No game reveals itself as quickly as college football in the best of times. But in this bowl season, it's unbelievable. There's a fumble and a recovery, and it's just a
guys, I'm going to jump off, and I'll see you guys next week.
Todd Wishnev taking your place. If we had more seats, maybe.
I'd be 86 by Todd, but all right. It is what it is.
Sorry, Bill. Don't be so sensitive about it.
We love you. You'll be welcome back next week.
Yeah.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.